Good morning, YouTube. I've done a lot of car lists on this channel, and April said that she would like to try and do one herself of 10 cars of some list, and I said, go for it. So what list do we have, April?
I don't know how to say it like correctly or appropriately, but a sort of compensation list where men may have certain cars to be compensating for something. Does that make sense?
For their shortcomings and...
For their shortcomings. Oh. But like that's a kind of a joke. Like if a guy has a crazy supercar, they're like, oh, he's very shortcomings. Is that the way to say it?
Very inadequately equipped.
Right. But actually, there was research done.
Really?
On this very subject.
Okay.
There's an actual study in the University of London, right? And the jokes are there for a reason. So these guys, Daniel Richardson, Joseph Delvin, and John Hogan, I'm serious, this is a real study. They wanted to find out if there was a correlation with size and sports cars. Loud, lavish sports cars. Right. So here's what they did. First, they had two opinions. One, they think maybe guys are buying crazy cars for their mates to be able to hook up faster. And so they said owning an expensive car could play the same role as like a peacock's tail. That's what they were referring it to.
I suppose. There's morons that buy cars for that. But there's just as many car enthusiasts that just love cars and love engine noises and love the way they look.
Right.
And they may be more turned on by that than women in some cases.
Well,
I mean, Jake might be one of those people. But
and they were also saying that Darwin was saying that that's like a costly display of wasted resources. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Their other theory is the self-esteem theory. So that just luxury items, when you have low self-worth, they're heightened when you have nice things, I guess.
So did they do any kind of study and have findings?
They did an actual study where they asked 200 men on what they surveyed them. And this was actually approved by
So like what car they drove and then go measure yourself as well?
They completely lied. And they told them they were investigating, doing an experiment on how people multitask and shop online and remember facts at the same time. So it was a memory test. And one of the facts that they manipulated them with is they took half of the group. And one of the facts was the average male is 7 inches, which happens to be above average, actually. And then the second half, they said that the average male is 4 inches. And so they took these two groups.
Which is too low, right?
Which is too low.
Okay.
But the men that heard that the average is 4, that were doing good for themselves, had a really high confidence level to them when they're hearing this fact. The men that heard 7 was average didn't feel as good about themselves anymore.
I see.
And they had them rate things like luxury items and sports cars. And here's what they found. The men that heard the fact that 7 inches was average desired sports cars even more. They needed to sort of peacock even more. They rated them higher. They wanted them.
So what does it mean when you have 30 cars and some of them are Lamborghinis, Ferraris, big lifted trucks?
It means absolutely nothing.
Chevy HHR SS panels.
Well, that's a sexy car.
Buick Park Avenue Ultras.
I feel like that's undercompensating a little bit. But the interesting thing was when they hit age 29, it became more important for these men who didn't think they were packing to get a sports car.
Wonderful.
So this is an actual study. So knowing that, which could mean nothing and everything all at once.
Does anyone have a tube sock?
I'm going to go for my list for the most overcompensating cars.
Oh, right. In your opinion, if somebody's pulling up in this car, they are an innie.
I guess so.
Okie dokie.
So I'm starting.
I'm sorry, audience, if you have these cars, and feel free to chime in the comments how wrong April is.
And of course,
but don't send her a picture of it. I mean, plenty of guys, creepy dudes have done that over the years. So.
And this isn't definitive. What I really do think sometimes guys will just get insecure about talking about it, and then you know that there's like some weird thing.
Well, let's get into it then. Car number one.
Car number one. You're gonna be so mad. Is the Cybertruck, because who would pay $100,000 over MSRP?
Or $240,000 if they're flipping them.
A Cybertruck to show off. It's just, that's the ultimate show-off truck right now.
It is the most show-offy thing that you absolutely can buy, and it seems crazy to pay $100. If I wasn't doing it for videos and the curiosity and the thought of that offsetting it a little bit, I would never do it. But I'm not buying it to compensate.
Well, I wouldn't be here if you needed to. So number 9 on the list, any BMW that has the muffler cut off, because we hear you coming, all right? We see you, we hear you. Why? Can I ask why?
People who tastelessly modify their BMWs, and Jake's still sitting down. That's good. Because basically...
I mean, you can ask her if I need to compensate or not.
Yeah, girlfriend's sitting in on this one. Well, we're learning a lot about, Good Morning YouTube cast today.
But they seem to have a lot in common.
Yeah, they buy these BMWs because they're already kind of flashy, and they make them even more flashy, but then they think they need to make them loud, and especially the turbo ones where they can make them bang and pop as they drive by. Especially when I'm driving something nicer.
Why?
Myself, they need to show off. Like mine makes really loud noise. And it sounds like a gun's going off when I drive by you. Yeah, I agree with that one.
Maybe. Okay.
Cybertruck, okay.
This one I feel like everyone's gonna get mad at me. And I'm apologizing because they're very, very cool, but just this is completely my opinion. Okay. Cobra kit cars. I'm sorry. Like they're great cars. I love them, but they just seem a little tricky to drive. And I don't understand. Can you explain to me?
It would make anybody, even if they're short, stick out of the thing like Big Bird. So they just look big sitting in them.
Right.
But what if you're really into Carroll Shelby's heritage and you like a sports car, you like that vintage look? I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean...
I feel like it's like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's what my brain just immediately goes there. And then I appreciate the nostalgia of it and the legendary racing history of them, of course. But
I just feel bad for the people that have the real ones. And they go they get it out, it's $1 million, they take it to a car show, they take it to anywhere, and like, oh, look at that, another kit car. Like you can't tell the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I don't know about that one.
Next on the list, Lamborghini Huracan. That is on the list because if you have some money, like you're gonna get something a little bit nicer. You don't want the Huracan, and you could spend $50,000 less and get the Audi R8.
Right. The Audi R8 is more of a gentleman's express, more comfortable, same power.
Right.
You're going extra flashy for the Lamborghini, and if you're getting a Lamborghini, there's a gated Gallardo would be cheaper, and that'd be a better one.
V12.
A Murcielago, the V12, the Aventador. I mean, the Aventador's a little showy, but yeah, I do feel like that is the ultimate Florida, like...
It's lit, and especially if it's in green or orange.
Loud colors.
Very, very loud colors. There's a time and a place for it. If you're on the track, you're with your car guy, it's in your collection, I completely understand. If it's your daily... that means you can only have it as a daily. Like, that's not a daily driver car. You're scraping it on everything, every curb.
The early ones don't have axle lift, So proportionally, I would agree. A large percentage of that, they're buying it because of the look at me to perhaps compensate. So I'm on the board with that one.
They're difficult to get into. They're not very comfortable. You have to like lay down. You're like, okay, let me get in my Lambo, ladies. And it just looks
much
awkward.
easier than a Countach, though, because the Countach, you have to pretty much put your leg behind your head to get in that. So
yeah, it's just, you look ridiculous. But there's a right time and a place for it. I totally get it. I love all these cars still. Like, I don't mean to bash them, but I'm totally bashing them.
Their owners.
Ready.
Okay.
Amber, let me know if you agree with this. Okay. Any lifted pickup truck that's above 4 or 5 inches, I would say.
So a 2 or 3 inch lift.
2 or 3 inch lift with 33-inch tires, perfectly great.
So by the inch of compensation makes the inches of that lower. So if it's like a 6 or 8 inch monster lift with 37s and stuff.
It's what you wish you were lifted yourself, perhaps. I don't know. Amber, what do you think?
I grew up around lifted trucks.
You grew up
one. Drove a bit. My mom's truck was bigger than my dad's, so.
Whoa!
It's kind of like a religion here, where you almost have to do it. At least a leveling kit on your truck, or maybe get a 2-inch lift, get 33s or 35s on it. So I don't know.
I'm just saying this is what the mainstream girl thinks when they see a super lifted truck. You're like, why? Why is that necessary? Why do you need to be that massive, stick out that much? You're not driving over traffic to get where you need to go. So what's the point of it? That's that's
I
out
see
there.
what you mean. There's certainly a large percentage that are not going off-road. They're doing it for attention, not just because they think it looks cool, but they like
Right.
the attention they
Okay.
get. Especially
Alright.
here in Kansas, like, "Well, get my truck, you know. Like,
right.
dar.
All right. And the newer retro-styled Challenger Charger or Mustang, but only if you drive it like an idiot. You're doing burnouts. You're just going crazy, showing off. Look at me. Look what I have.
So the people that own those cars that have gotten banned from Cars and Coffee, because a lot of Cars and Coffees are banning that specific car because they do burnouts and cause accidents as they leave. So the people that are causing that,
Right.
that not necessarily own those cars, but own those cars and drive them like morons, are are Vienna sausages.
I mean, they're great cars. I love them. I had one.
100,000%. You are right.
Wait, you agree with me?
There is nobody with
Whoa.
an elephant there just doing that. They don't know. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Next on the list, Polaris Slingshot.
Oh.
Why? I feel like you're not comfortable to learn and command a motorcycle, but you still want the wind in your hair and the opening free of the world around you, and you're in Las Vegas and you're renting it.
Yes.
Because,
And then they put like LED lights all around it to make it
it's
look
so
like
bad.
Tron. And then they have like huge speakers so you can hear them coming from forever with their booming stuff.
right.
1,000%. The only reason you are buying that is for attention. Yes, 1,000,000,000%. And you're not a car guy at all, so you don't realize that everybody, like any car enthusiast, thinks they're stupid. So, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Next on the list, I'm going to be more specific, but a one-of-one Corvette, which is fantastic. I love Corvettes, but
I
I'm
see.
going one-of-one C7 with, you've got the aero kit on it. You're making it look like an IMSA race car. You've
I
got
see.
everything. Just look at me, show off.
So like their
Here we
racing
go.
skull sticker on it.
The Racing
Well,
Jake, which is
the Racing
really
Jake, yes.
cool. I like the Racing Jake symbol.
But not on a race car.
But it's not a race car.
So if they're saying, oh, mine's a one of one because this, and this, they're a one of one in.
If you have to
there.
go on to like 4 things, it's one of 63 of this, and then one of 23 of this, and then
Yup.
and it's, which is
Ouch.
fine and cool, and that can be great. But
Ouch.
but the C7 that's all tricked out. I don't
Okay.
know. Is that mean?
Okay.
Is that
I can.
Jake?
I
Do you have a
see what you
C7?
mean. No, he has a C5.
Okay.
No, but my BMW is one of 7 in the spec that I like. My
That's
blue
okay.
one.
We've already
My
learned a
blue
lot
one
about
that
you.
Also has a loud exhaust in my truck that's got a 5-inch lift and 32s.
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
We already know.
Jake's is a Ranger. Yeah, that's not. Nobody's showing off in a Ranger. You know,
Thanks.
that's just a cute truck.
Great.
Yeah.
It is a cute. I like your truck.
Yeah.
I'm
I like
talking
it too.
like a real lifted truck,
Right.
like
A
crazy,
brodozer.
insane brodozer.
All right.
All right, second to the last. Are you
Mm-hmm.
ready? The H2. Okay, why you're gonna get an H2 when you can get an H1?
Because the H1's impossible to drive. The H2 looks cool.
No, it does not look. It's like a McMansion. Okay, it's gonna
Okay.
fall apart eventually. It's just the facade. It's just there to look cool, and that's it. And then imagine an H3. No, that's even
Well, the
worse. but,
H3 is
like,
actually a capable little off-roader, a neat
Right,
little
that's-
thing you get
I'm
with a manual
sticking-
transmission.
sticking with H2. There's no real
They are
substance.
very flashy. Now, most people aren't buying them for any reason other than look at me. So I would agree. It was the most repossessed car in the U.S. at one point because the people who bought them had low IQs and yeah.
They were the biggest, flashiest thing, like what on MTV Cribs
MTV
back
Cribs,
in the day.
yes.
Like you knew that we're at an athlete's house or actor's house or
Right.
musician.
And I've said
because-
that they're most undervalued ones,
yeah, well,
personally.
you're crazy.
Because there's plenty of people that are deficient that buy one to make up for their deficiency. So, yes.
I feel like this list is so mean. Like I feel awful.
Yeah, I do feel bad. I'm feeling a little
But
shrinkage, honestly.
I don't feel bad about this last one that I'm
Okay.
going to tell you. All right. Any Jeep Wrangler that is customized to go off-road that never goes off-road.
I see. So the mall crawlers with like they give them the face in the front and they're angry and they're lifted and they have every single thing like wrapped in the
Right.
brino liner, you know, the bed liner material.
Right.
And it's squeaky clean and nice.
Right. If you have more than one LED light bar on your Jeep Wrangler, or if more than 50% of it is covered in graphics, or it's just completely 3 different colors, if there's a massive wench on the front of it, like if you have 3 out of 4 of those, you are compensating for something.
Well, it's funny because they all drive around with their doors off, so it gives people an invitation, especially as they're lifted up higher. You look over and you're looking right into their crotch, so you think that's a little counterintuitive. But, okay.
I mean, this is a very cliche.
I got away
list,
pretty
of
clean there. I
course.
thought you were just going down the list of all my
The
cars,
list
and
of-
this was going to be painful, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a surprise extra credit car right now.
All right.
I want to see what you think. All right, Jake, I want to see what you think. All right, this is the most undercompensated. Like, you're a man that I'm like, what does he have
Yeah,
going on?
they did like an SNL skit where somebody was in a Geo Metro pulling up, and they were like, oh my God. They're like some big group of women like, oh, it must be huge. Or, yeah, I remember that,
Right.
yeah.
So here's my car of choice for that, where I would do a double take on a guy if he was driving this, because I'm going to be like, that's a man right there. Okay, that's a real man right
Okay.
there.
And it is?
2003 Mercury Marauder. Okay, they're understated, they're sleepers, they have the same engine as the Mustang Mach-1. Beautiful. Most of them are black. You could get them in like dark red and maroon and silver, but most of them are
Really?
black. They're kind of blacked out grille, blacked out bumpers up front. Like, they are not sexy looking cars. You don't think of Mercury's like,
I think they look pretty good. The
yeah.
Panther platform, you know,
Yes.
made stealthy and cool. Yeah,
But
it's like a Darth Vader, like the Grand
it's-
National.
So the Grand National, of course, I would list that one, but that has so much prominence and is, you know, out there too much. This one is more understated than even the Grand National itself.
All right. So, Mercury Marauder, so you pull up to the bar, and it's good for you, I guess. Thank you so much for watching. April, what a list.